Good morning and welcome to Cooley Outdoors. I am your host, Brandon Scott, and with me today is nobody. It's a solo adventure time. Well, that is because Nash is babysitting some dogs of a family member, so he's not available this weekend, and Sabrina works today. So I am all by myself. And today's plan is I am parked at the Middle Fork Snoqualmie Trailhead, and I'm either going to go up the Middle Fork Snoqualmie Trail or go down along Middle Fork Snoqualmie and then go up the Pratt River Trail. But I haven't decided which one I'm going to do, so I guess if you're watching this, you'll see the title and you'll know already which trail I'm going down. But at this moment, I don't know where I'm going down. So let's get out there and go adventure.
All right, so this hike's edition of books is interesting because all of these books are a little out of date, so none of them technically cover what exactly I went down. But as you'll see in the beginning of the actual hiking portion of the video, there is a spot after I go over the bridge where I can turn left and go up the Middle Fork Snoqualmie Trail proper, or go right and go downstream onto the Pratt River Trail. All of these, at least in part, talking about a portion of going left. Two of them talk about specifically going left, and this one talks about uphill, way upstream left, but none of them talk about right specifically because at the time these books were written, it was still an abandoned trail. That new fancy bridge wasn't built yet. Well, it might have been, but it might have been an old rickety bridge, and it wasn't a lot of excitement of crossing that bridge and going either direction. Now, 10, 15, sometimes 20 years later after these books were written, a lot of development has been made. So the trail I went down is actually kind of popular. At least going left is very popular in the summer. So with that being said, let's begin about the books. First one, Day Hike Central Cascades by Mike McQuaid. Middle Fork Snoqualmie River, not the direction I went. As you can see there, Gateway Bridge. Parked at the Gateway parking lot. I went, let's see if I can do this one hand, this direction, whereas the trail has you go that direction. So I went that way. So kind of, sort of, yes, I will be doing that in the future because that's probably a lot of good fishing going that way. But yes and no. This one, so close yet so far. Middle Fork, this was 55 Hikes Around Snoqualmie Pass by Harvey Manning and Ira Spring. So this is different than the 100 Hikes ones, in that not necessarily covering the big, popular, sometimes longer hikes, but, you know, easy access. It's kind of like that one. Oh, crap, I should grab them outside, too. And like his 100 Hike series, this one covers it, albeit the first 3/4 of a mile to Rainy Creek Pool. I'm going to try and go further all the way down the 3 miles one way to the Pratt River down here. But again, as of this writing, as it says, the trails here have been abandoned since Pearl Harbor. This was published in 2001. It's now 2022. 20 years later, that trail has now been thrashed out all the way up to Pratt River. And I think you can almost go all the way up to Pratt Lake now, which is like 10 miles one way from the bridge. But again, park at Gateway parking lot, cross the bridge, go right, and Rainy Creek Pool, I will go past, hopefully at least, and go somewhere almost maybe all the way to Pratt River. Book 300 Hikes in the Alpine Lakes. Middle Fork Snoqualmie River. This one is even further upstream. That bridge is not the Gateway Bridge, but that's the bridge at the end of the road at Dingford Creek. And then you cross over and walk along towards Goldmire. So this is something Nash and I want to do in the future in the summer, but Dingford Creek you can't even get to right now because of the snow. I could hopefully won't run into too much snow driving up there tomorrow, but there's no way to be able to access that this time of year. And the last book I just now thought about, oh, where is it? Where is it? Beyond Mountainside. Yes, I have a bookshelf. I need another bookshelf this size or two for all my books and all my rocks and such. On the outside. I wonder if this guy will have it. Middle Fork Snoqualmie River 14. So I bet it's going to cover the same section. Middle Fork Snoqualmie River 14. Oh, yep. Yep, so that's the Gateway parking lot, the Gateway Bridge. I'm going this way. So that's a nice 6-mile one-way section. I'm sure Nash and I will go up it sometime in the future before the season swaps, because that's a good winter hike, and well, a good all year round hike. It's a flat, long river, but that'd be good off season if you don't want to get snowshoes. Anywho, 4 books. None of them really cover it. Oh well.
All right, first and foremost, time for a little bit of embarrassing truth time. As you can tell, there is a whole heck of a lot of snow on the ground. And as you can also tell, nobody bothered to plow the parking lot, which no fault to them or not, necessarily. But part 3 of the embarrassingness, my naive ass assumed that the last week of supposedly warm, sunny weather would have melted all this away. Even though I was outside working all week in the supposedly nice, warm, sunny weather, when it was all week, it was supposed to be down in the lowlands in Seattle. Forecast was partly to mostly sunny with highs in the upper 40s to low 50s. Well, that was if the fog went away. And the fog never really went away till about 2 or 3 o'clock, and you get about an hour of sunshine before it got dark. And when the fog was around, it never got above like 35 degrees. So for some reason I got totally confused or naived out and thought, just because it's not warm down in Seattle doesn't mean it's not going to be warm up here and melt the snow out. Because all the snow is left over from when it got really, really cold and snowed for like a week between Christmas and New Year's. And this is all this is left over from. So I'm out here in not snow pants. I put on my skinny hiking jeans, or my skinny hiking pants, and my skinny long underwear, and no snowshoes, so I'm wearing my rubber boots, because I just happen to have them in Rex. Although I probably would have been fine with hiking shoes, because it's so cold, the snow seems pretty firm. But yeah, I'm ever so slightly underprepared for this. So, I mean, I know as long as I keep moving, I'll be warm, and I'm not going to do anything stupid. I mean, I wasn't planning on doing anything stupid to begin with, but your boy kind of made an oopsie or 2 or 3. Made a couple of assumptions he should not have made. This is the really so. Middle Fork Snoqualmie Trail. I guess I should give some background on the trail, since I did not do the book part again beforehand, because I couldn't remember if there was actually any info on either of these trails in the books, so I didn't bother looking. Oh, that's a pretty shot. That is a pretty shot. Anywho, Middle Fork Snoqualmie Trail. If I go down it, it'll be, I think, to the left. And if I go to the right, it'll be the Pratt River Trail. This bridge is relatively new. The Middle Fork Snoqualmie Trail starts here. It runs for 6 miles along the south shore, or the south, shore of the Middle Fork Snoqualmie River. On the north shore for 6 miles, there is a road you can drive up to other trailheads that this eventually meets up to, which is very popular in the summer. But if the road looks like this right now in the winter, I highly advise against trying to drive up there. I don't feel like putting chains on Rex and struggling up through that just for a little bit better hiking spot, so I'm going to stay down here. This bridge is new, so you go to the left is the Middle Fork Snoqualmie Trail. You go to the right, walk along the Middle Fork Snoqualmie for, oh crap, this is the north side. No, it's not. South side. Yes, south side. You walk along this side of the Snoqualmie and it turns for 3 miles, and then you go upstream up the Pratt River Trail. I think it goes dip. I think I'm going to turn right and go to the junction of where the Pratt River dumps into the Snoqualmie River, because this is supposed to be pretty good fly fishing all summer, and I have no idea what any of this looks like, so I'm going to go take a look. I think that's what this is going to become, a winter scouting mission, pseudo scouting mission in the snow. This bridge is really pretty. Before this bridge was in, you had to either wade across the river, and as you can tell, that's not really going to happen unless it's late summer and really warm out. Not sure if there's going to be a bunch of narration to this video or not. I might just shut my app up, or at least attempt to, and go. So I believe I'm going to go right and go down the Pratt River Trail for a couple of miles. But it's just silly pretty. Also with it, oh, that's pretty. It'll be even prettier when the dog's not here. I'll probably get I might get a long exposure on the way back of the bridge. So, besides being underdressed, what is there to worry about? Well, obviously the snow is 2 weeks old, and also obviously if it's 2 weeks old it hasn't been above freezing very much. Sick sign. Then it's probably going to be cold and slippery, which it is a bit, but it's also pretty firm because it's so moist. The air is so moist because of the fog that really thick amounts of hoarfrost forms on it every night or two, and it adds new texture and depth to it. Oh, this is not going to be very fun. The parts of the trail that are bare, like this, easy walking trail. Ooh, that's pure ice. The parts are still snowy, are going to be kind of terrible. But I guess, what is the plan for this? Well, check the river out, see what it looks like for fishing, so I can come back and actually fish in the spring and summer. And also, ooh, that's pretty. Also, I think I'm gonna go sit and relax at the climax. Oh, and rubber boots on thick ice. It's a scary proposition. No slip. Oh, that is pretty. Oh, that is very pretty. Super, super pretty. But I think I'm also going to go sit where the Pratt River dumps into the Snoqualmie and probably hang out there. Because, no, not the glove. Not this weekend, but next weekend is my on-call weekend, so I won't be able to go anywhere and do anything. And then the weekend after that is a Super Bowl weekend. So I'm hoping, God, just icicles coming off of moss. I'm a sucker for that kind of bull crap. I'll turn off my camera noises. Super Bowl weekend. Can try and go do something Saturday, because we got friends coming in from out of state on Sunday to watch the Super Bowl. And after that, it's Sabrina's birthday weekend, and I've got plans for that. But because I'm on call next weekend, it means if I didn't get out this weekend, I'd go 2 weeks without being out in the woods. And even if it's winter and cold and terrible, I'm still going to want to be outside. Kind of get a nature reset. So now the question is, how long do I let this first section run before turning it off and on again? I think I'll turn it off here and turn it on. Oh, look at that horizontally growing hoarfrost. Look at how cool that is. I think, and then the icicles down there, and then all this is sloughing off because the hoarfrost, the ice is pushing it outwards, and then it melts and it sloughs and it push and melt and slough. But I think I know what the theme and the title of today's adventure is going to be. That is ice, more specifically icicles. Because there is icicles dripping and drooping off of everything. I mean, just look at that. Something about icicles dripping off of moss in a lowland forest. And then all of this good slippage in here. That's pretty sharp. Icicles coming off of the moss, which is covering the granite. That is pretty stuff. I wonder if the camera will pick up all the irregularities in the ice crystals right there. I hope it does. Anywho, you might be asking yourself, if you watched the videos from last weekend, you said you love snow, Brandon. So why didn't you go back up, icicles, and go play in the snow and go snowshoeing again up at Mount Rainier somewhere? Well, going out alone is inherently dangerous. Don't worry, Sabrina and my parents both know exactly where I parked and what my itinerary was for the day. Oh, look at that. So they know where I am and they know where to come find me. Almost got my parents to come with. Well, I told them it was going to be a flat river walk and there wasn't going to be any snow on the ground, so they thought it was going to be too boring and decided not to come. Well, oops. Anywho, it is inherently dangerous to go out alone. Going out alone in the winter up at elevation is even more dangerous. Plus, my butt, oh, that's pretty. I hope the blue sky doesn't wash everything out. Plus, the forecast for this weekend was supposed to be warm and slightly wet. Obviously it's neither, but warm and slightly wet does not make for a very fun snowshoeing excursion for the snowshoe trips I plan on taking in the future, because I don't want to just do Reflection Lake over and over, even though it's amazing. I've got other places, sorry, I want to go explore and go do in winter. In Mount Rainier and other places, but warm and wet equals slushy snowshoes. So, plus I also thought I was working today, so I didn't bother getting anything gathered, hence which is why I'm more prepared. Normally, especially in winter, all my winter gear lives in wrecks, but I was lazy and didn't put stuff back in wrecks after last weekend because we took Clank, Nash's Subaru Crosstrek, up to go snowshoeing, so I just unloaded stuff out of his car, put it in the apartment, and then never put it back in the wrecks. So this should have been no big deal because I should have had my winter gear, my snowshoes, and everything in wrecks anyway. Not that I'm suffering too much. Oh, cool. Doggy doo-doo bag. God, people piss me the beep off so beep much. There. I self-censored my swear words. I mean, falling into somebody else's post holes from when it did get warm and slushy is annoying, but this isn't the end of the world. I hear a wild raging creek. Plus, being in rubber boots versus snowshoes means this creek crossing theoretically is going to be safer and easier because rubber boots are waterproof. Oh, there's a bridge instead. How pretty. Except this creek looks to be big enough and strong enough to where it has not letting any icicles form recently, which is a bit of a sad moment, but oh well. Like, look at this. Look at the curling action going on there. That's like 2 inches long. Walking, going over Pretty Bridge, and the bridge is thawed out. That would be a cool spot for a short, long exposure. I might do that. Pretty. Trail opens up, as you can see, or maybe you can tell where the trail goes, but in winter, trails get beat up a lot. Falling trees, erosion, avalanches, so on and so forth. Trails get beat up a lot. So, icicles on a rock. So trail maintenance is very important, and it's almost criminal how little the trail crews get paid for what they do. It's like 11, 12 if you're lucky and you've got a couple. Look at the frost. See, that's what I'm talking about. That new depth in terrain it gets when it freezes and thaws and freezes and extends. Oh, this is a good spot. This is how the snow stays crunchy and grippy instead of becoming an ice fest. Anyway, trail crews get criminally underpaid. $12, $13, $15 an hour to be out here weeks on end. I mean, this is an easy access trail, but imagine the backcountry crews that have to hike in 1, 2, 3 days with all their equipment. Very underappreciated. Dang it, I was hoping we were going down to the river, but we can look back. So that way around the rock is the Taylor River. Middle Fork Snoqualmie goes in front of the rock and comes down. Somewhere down here in the next big valley will be the Pratt River. We'll see if we make it all the way. Ignore the dork chainsawing a fallen tree. He's right along the road, blocking one lane of the road. And because there's been so much snow, the road had to get plowed. In a lot of spots you can only really plow one lane, or there's a snowplow might go off the edge. He's parked in one of those spots, so everyone has to slow down and go around him. So anywho, I was hoping we'd go down to the river, because if you had to go around this spine, I think I hear another creek coming down off of these cliffs. So yeah, unless I run into one, there's no plans on waterfall hunting, no big, quote-unquote, big exciting adventures. Just walking along a flat trail, enjoying nature, hoping we get down to the river. Might not make it the 3 miles one way to the Pratt River confluence, but I'd like to at least get down to the river and sit along the river for a little bit. Oh, switchback. That's also what happens in the snow. If you've never been on the trail before and nobody else has blazed it before you in the snow, it can be really hard to find trail. Another reason why it's dangerous to go out alone, because two or 3 or 4 sets of eyes, so usually a lot better than just one. This trail's been pretty easy to find for the most part, but as you saw, I almost missed a switchback. If we're going down, that means pretty frost. That means we could be getting up to the river real soon, because I can see the river comes around and then cuts and goes. Dogs. Must be a person. So hopefully this next section of it will be down at the river. Still not quite down to the river, but I think we are getting closer. Gorgeous river shot there. Gorgeous sunny mountain shot there. I mean, I can see why we're not down at the river yet. Back behind, we had to go around 2 cliff faces where the river is literally running itself into the cliff face. We'll see if we can get a shot of that. Big post holes. Kind of. But I hope we're getting closer to the river. Look at that hole. I bet there's some big mother-loving fish down in that hole. I'd love to get onto that gravel bar in the summer, wade out to where it gets deep and cast into that hole. Because the paved road is on that side of the river. The parking lot's back there. So, I shoot through the rock gap. Sunshine trying to peek through the clouds. Would be cool if it did. I mean, it's on the mountains on the other side of the river, but it would be nice if it... And that's what sucks about weeks old rivers. Oh, I am fine. But rubber boots plus, oh, see, I'm just slipping totally out. Oh, that's gonna be fun to go back up. It appears we're gonna be down at river level, so hopefully this will be worth it. Walk on the moss. Moss gives grip. I knew that was gonna suck. Oh well. That's gonna be kind of terrible going back up. Oh well. Good. I just got done walking through a really pretty, what I'm assuming is a meadowy section in summer. Didn't video it because the GoPro has been sitting out on my noggin for too long and it got cold and the battery thought it was gonna die. So I'd stick it in my pocket. Now the battery's back up to 3/4. But look, I can see the river. We might be getting to a spot where I can hang out. Plus the sun's coming out. So maybe. Oh, are we gonna cross the creek and not get any closer to the river? Or dang. But on the other hand, I mean, I bet I could go sit where this dry creek dumps into and there'd be a gravel bar, but I don't see much of a gravel bar on this side. So back this direction we go. Pretty rock. Ice on the rocks. Look at that. That's multiple days of frost growth. Frosty, frosty, frosty. It also appears that nobody else has come this far along the trail in a couple of days because I don't see any more fresh footprints in this long frost on top of the snow. Like, look at that. That is amazing. When you come out to this other side, you can see where the trail is supposed to be. There's a nice indent back in the meadow, so I know I'm still on trail. But it doesn't look like there's any fresh footprints in said frost flakes. So everybody might have turned around back there somewhere, because I have come across 2 other parties of people. A slightly older couple, and then a couple about my age with a pair of dogs. But I mean, I've seen potholes from when people have come down here since the snow, but the snow happened 3-4 weeks ago now. I don't see any fresh footprints in this frost. So, oh, that's pretty. I think I've decided once I find a nice gravel bar, I will stop and hang out, take a long exposure. I don't think I think I'm barely halfway to the Pratt River, so 1.5 miles in or so. I don't really want to go all the way. It's just too much of a pain in the butt in the snowshoes. Parts of my body are cold while parts are sweating. Plus I just came out here to enjoy the scenery and being out here. I don't need to necessarily do an all-day hike, even if it's along a quote-unquote easy riverside trail. So what happens when you get weather. Even the easiest trail can turn into a real pain in the butt. Look at that. Bet there's a lot of fish in there in the summer. I just gotta find me a nice gravel bar or something to sit along and enjoy it. Hoping to be a nice, quieter section like that, but if I get stuck next to a noisy section, I get stuck next to a noisy section. Well, I got sick and tired of walking along the snowy trail with the river in barely hearing distance that direction. So I found myself a nice pretty little frozen over bog to sit by and listen to. And I took a long exposure. And why did I pick this spot specifically? Well, I got tired of walking. And as I stopped here contemplating how much further I wanted to go, I heard some crackling of ice. So I looked over at this bog, and you may or may not be able to tell, but there is a big old ice sheet over the bog when it was full of water. And at some point, there must have been an ice dam down further downstream somewhere, and it must have broke. And so all the water's emptied. So you got this rim of ice in the bog, or marsh, whatever the technical term is, because there is a difference, where the water level used to be, and now there's like a foot and a half of air between where the water used to be and now the drained water level. So every 30 seconds to a minute or so, the ice kind of gives way and makes this cute little tinkling sound as it falls down. There was enough of that going on to where I decided to take a long exposure, and that's pretty much what you're hearing. You get a look at this peaceful, frozen over wetland, and every once in a while, like that. And that of the ice collapsing under its own weight as the temperature slowly warms up. So we're going to head back down the trail and go back to Rex and go back to the bridge and probably take a long exposure at the bridge. Trail is pretty easy. I'm sure it is pretty easy in the summertime, but it doesn't ever get you much access to the river. So if you're going to go fish, just beeline it straight for the Pratt River. Don't bother looking for spots because it's a long walk to the river, probably through more marsh, and it's just be a pain in the butt in the spring and the summer.
Thank you for joining me on today's adventure, a little unexpected snowy hike along the middle fork of the Snoqualmie River towards the Pratt River. I didn't make it all the way to the Pratt River just because I was sick and tired of slipping and slightly post-holing about in my rubber boots without proper gear. Didn't really get that cold, but I was moving most of the whole time, so that wasn't really an issue. It was more of the awkward temperature, me not quite wearing the right style of clothing, so I'd get really warm and then stop and start to get a little cold and really warm and start sweating, and just not wanting to slip around in rubber boots anymore. Plus, I was hoping the trail would be a little closer to the river, and it never really got anywhere near the river. The nearest it was the river was when I was 40, 50 feet up the side of a cliff, going with the trail along the cliff, and then you're 50 feet above the river, so you're not really near the river anyway. It makes for some pretty scenery, but I was hoping to find a nice riverside spot to hang out for a bit, so that was a bit disappointing in that aspect. Otherwise, I'm sure Nash and I will go up that trail again when there's no snow on the ground and actually go up the Pratt River and probably make a fishing video out of it, because it's supposed to be pretty decently good fishing along all that. It won't be huge fish from what I read, but it's supposed to be pretty good fishing, and it's catch and release only, so fish aren't coming out of the system. But that'll be for another day in a couple of months, in June or July or so, when the fishing gets hot. Otherwise, give a like and a comment down below, please. Let me know what I did do well or didn't do well, besides falling on my butt coming down the icy staircase. Don't need to say anything about that. And hopefully there'll be more snowshoeing / skiing videos coming up before winter ends. Otherwise, it'll be back to hiking and waterfalling and swimming and so on and so forth. But I hope to get out and get a bunch more snow play in. So thanks for tagging along, and ciao.